Hi everybody, it's forecast time. If you remember, I wished you all a very happy new year in January, and I forecasted that the market this year would be tough, which wasn't difficult, I have to say. I also said that I thought the second half of the year would improve and things would improve quite dramatically. I'm not quite so sure now. I think certainly inflation will be well down by Christmas. I think everyone agrees with that. But we did think interest rates might come down a little bit by then. I don't think they will. And I'm now starting to think that we're in for, a couple of years of pretty tough sales forecasts. If you look at the major house builders, Persimmon especially, they've quoted that they're going to only sell half the houses this year than they did last year. And I think, I mentioned that before as well. So I've done okay with my forecast so far this year, but this one's a toughie. So March to June, what is going to happen? I'm going to give it a go. So the general sales market, that's people are looking to move house. Eventually, they get bored of saying it's not time to move because of interest rates going up, and they get on and move anyway. However, we're not at that stage yet. That's going to happen, I think, towards the end of next year, to be honest with you. I've got 6 estate agencies in Norfolk, and our results are getting better than they were in January. Goodness me, let's hope they do, because January was pretty grim, let me tell you. And a lot of my friends in the estate agency are saying the same thing. We're a very successful outfit in Norfolk, and we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Things are improving, but I don't see a dramatic upturn in the second half of the year that I thought was going to happen. So generally, if you've got a nice house, it will sell if it's priced right. If you try and get too much money for it, or there's a problem with it, people have got a choice. They don't need to buy your house if they can buy another one with no problems, or they don't need to buy your house if yours needs refurbishing and you still want good money for it, and there's another one down the road already refurbished at slightly more money, or the same money. If people need to move, then they need to drop their price. Estate agents say that every 4 price reductions they get equals 1 sale. 4 price reductions equals 1 sale, to remember that. So if you're looking to move house, or you've got properties that you need to shift, you need to be realistic. Do not bury your head in the sand and think you're going to get the same amount that you got last year, because you are not. If your agent's not telling you the truth, sack them and find an agent that will. Because I'm telling you now, you need to keep your money moving. The most important lesson I ever learned in property developing was many years ago from a very experienced developer, and he said one thing to me which stuck in my mind. John, always keep your money moving. Always keep your money moving. Now, the big developers, as you know, I've already said that they are building less houses this year, a lot less. And that's because they haven't got the orders, the pre-orders. No pre-orders, they're not going to build them. So that's the major house builders. So that takes them out of the equation. Now, the one thing about the major house builders, they are sharp. They're on the ball, they've got all the statistics. Unlike us, they are sharp and they don't need to do too much. If the market starts getting difficult, they shut the sites down, which is what they've done. That's what they've done. Now, for the smaller developers like ourselves, me, you, and other people, our friends in the business, we can't probably do that because we've got, mortgages to pay. We've got, goodness me, entourages to pay. So we have to keep ducking and diving somehow. We have to try and keep the money moving. We have to try and keep going. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not an easy time. Having said that, you've had it too easy for too long. So, this market is what it's going to be like for the next year or two now, I think. So please don't think it's suddenly going to be a sunny day in 3 months' time, because I don't believe it is. I really don't believe it is. And I know there's people out there saying, you're wrong, John. I've just got as much money for a property as last year. Yes, there are pockets where the market will not suffer. But this is a general, looking at the whole country here, not just your particular area where there may be a reason why the market hasn't dropped at all. Remember, it's a micro market, but generally the market has dropped 10 or 15%. That's the truth. That's the truth. And it doesn't look like it's coming back at any time soon. So if you want to sell, like we said, you've got to get on with it and you've got to be realistic. Now, the small developers, people like me, anybody who's small, anyone is considered small if they develop less than 250 houses a year. So that's all of us basically, apart from the big 10 house builders. So we're looking at being super careful here. I'm getting offered a lot of properties where they're part finished by developers. I'm getting offered them by banks at big discounts to what they cost to build, because the small developers got a big problem. If you've got sites that aren't finished, it's difficult because build costs have gone up. Your contractor might have gone bust. If he hasn't gone bust, he probably wants more money to finish the project. The house price has gone down and interest rates have basically doubled for most of us. So that is a perfect storm, and it's a storm that's very difficult to weather if you are a small developer. Let me tell you this. 3 years ago, I borrowed £4.2 million from a bank at 6.25%. I paid it back last year, nice development, made a decent profit. If I want to borrow that money today, they wanted 12% interest compared to 6.25 3 years ago. So that's how hard things are for the small developer. Very difficult. Build costs still look like they're going to go up. I don't think we've seen the end of it. And there's one big developer who said it's going to take 4 years for things to settle down. The reason he said that is because when Ukraine needs rebuilding and Turkey needs rebuilding, the building materials are going to go through the roof. So be careful. I would go as far as to say, if you're looking at a site, a bare site of land with planning outside London at the moment, outside London, it's very hard to make it stack up with the costs. Costs going up, sale prices coming down, interest rates going up. That's a perfect storm. That will settle down probably next year sometime, but for the moment, most of the vendors, the people selling these houses, selling the land I should say, do not appreciate that. So they need to sell probably for half what they're on the market for, some of this land. And by the way, all the big boys, none of them are buying land at the moment. They're all just shutting up shop and saying, no, we're waiting to see what happens. So perhaps some of us ought to take that probably very, very good advice. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stop doing everything. And people say to me, John, it's all right you saying don't do this, don't do that, don't catch a falling knife, but I see you still buying, sites in Scotland and all over. I am buying those sites, but they are hugely discounted because they're part finished, and it's a specialism I have in finishing those houses. It's tricky, it's difficult, it's not for everybody. Now, auctions. November, December, auctions were a disaster. I got very excited because I thought the clearance rate in these auctions was less than 50%, which is great news if you want to have a deal. Since then, auctions have improved, unfortunately. So at the moment, some of these auction houses are clearing 60-65% clearance rate, which isn't bad in what is a tough market. A lot of people are, I think, thinking that this market isn't getting any worse. It's not going to get any worse, and are jumping in and buying now. Now, my advice is to step back a little bit. And the people I mentor and the people I speak to on my seminars, I say to them, at the moment, just step back a little bit. If other people want to jump in and buy, let them, because once they're bought, they're not likely to be buying next month or the month after. So there are bargains in auctions, but be careful. The bargains are the more complicated deals where perhaps commercial to residential with some tenants in there, and it's all a bit messy. They're the ones to go for. The simple terraces and things like that are going for too much money. And if you look at every auction, the first 3 or 4 lots are nearly always terraces that need improving. And the auctioneer knows they'll sell really well. So they're in the first few lots because every auctioneer wants to get off to a good start. Now, that leaves landlords, as far as I can see. Now, landlords have had it really, really tough. If you're a landlord and you haven't got a fixed interest rate at the moment, then you have got big problems, because that interest rate's going from 3-4% or whatever you were paying before to 6-7-8%. So your interest is doubling. Sometimes it will mean that you're outside your banking mandate, which means that it's difficult to refinance if at all possible. Very hard to refinance at the moment. The dilemma you have, I know some of you, is do I sell, do I keep? Super difficult decision to make, because if you sell and you paid not a lot for the property in the first place, but you've then borrowed money against it a couple of times, perhaps refinanced it, if you sell, you're going to be paying a lot of tax on that at 40-45% probably, potentially. So be careful. As I always say, get advice from an accountant before you start selling off your portfolio. You need to know your tax situation. Don't just do it blindly, think you've done great, and then find out you've got a massive tax bill, because that's what can happen. If you can weather the storm, my advice probably is weather the storm if you can. I know some of you can't out there. You need to sell, and actually, is the market going to go up in the next 2 years? Well, in my view, no, it's not. So perhaps you should be selling, but be careful. So please take the advice. Fixed rates are coming down a little bit. I don't think they're going to come down as much as some people thought a month ago, 6 weeks ago. It's a moving target at the moment, but please be careful. Now, if you want more help and advice, you can always come to one of my seminars. They're 2 days. I speak for 7 hours a day, and I buy you dinner on the middle evening. My next 2-day seminar is the 17th and 18th of April in central London. I get 10, 12 people on them, so they're very small, interesting groups of people I work with over the 2 days. No mindset, no upselling, just my 43 years, I know, I can't believe it either, 43 years of experience that I can give you. And I'm willing to share my experience and my contacts as well. I've got a little bit of space and time for mentorship or consultancy, as I call it. I can probably cope with another 1 or 2 more people. I don't do a lot of it, as you know, because I'm busy doing my own deals at the moment. But I have got a little bit of time if anyone's interested in that. Please go to my YouTube, my Instagram, and so on, because it's important that you can keep up with what I'm saying, and my advice is obviously more instant than it is on a quarterly basis. I've also got Twitter, and TikTok apparently is my new thing, which Ruby tells me I'm going to be doing. So listen, I hope this is useful to you. As always, please do keep in touch. I love hearing from you, and let's see what the next 3 months holds. But please be careful out there, because there's a lot of sharks about, and you don't want to get bitten by one. See you next time.